From the tiny little town of Spur, Texas, population less than 1,000 people, Red McCombs personifies that it doesn't matter where you come from. Everything and everyone is bigger in Texas.
That was Governor Greg Abbott honoring the life of Texas icon Red McCombs. Our Max Massey will have a look at his lasting legacy and the mark he left on members of our community.
Plus, the investigation underway right now after an ATM machine almost got stolen. Why police say they may be able to catch the people who did it.
And a cold front came through this morning. Does not mean it'll be cooler today, though, just drier. And what's ahead for us? We take a look at that forecast in just a few minutes.
Live from KSAT12, the news at noon starts right now.
We begin with a celebration of life well lived. Hundreds of family members and friends filling the Tobin Center to honor the life and legacy of Red McCombs. Max
Massey joins us live from outside of that memorial service. So, Max, you spoke with some of those honoring McCombs today. What stuck out to you?
Guys, everyone we talked to really having reverence, respect, and admiration for Red McCombs' life, not only as a businessman, but a philanthropist. And as you heard from Governor Greg Abbott, just the legacy that it leaves here in San Antonio and the state of Texas. Now, part of the funeral, everyone was given one of these programs, and in it, there was a page of quotes from his family, one sticking out in particular, saying, quote, "Time with family matters most," end quote. And it's really representative of Red. You know, just a few moments ago, we saw the procession leaving here at the Tobin Center, his family standing outside, obviously an emotional situation for so many here, friends and family. The service did just wrap up, and we've been here since this morning as people lined up to enter the Tobin to pay their respects. Special guest speakers took the stage. Governor Greg Abbott, who you heard from, Spurs head coach Greg Popovich, and Spurs great, who we just saw leave the building, Avery Johnson. Now, Red McCombs playing a pivotal role in bringing the Spurs to San Antonio, owned the team 2 separate times, went on to purchase the Minnesota Vikings in hopes of bringing an NFL team to the Alamo City. Obviously, McCombs, a pillar of the philanthropy community. His work includes numerous donations to his alma mater, $30 million to MD Anderson for the Institute for Early Detection and Treatment of Cancer. And those who we spoke to today who knew him well, they knew what giving back meant to him.
One of the original ones that have led the way here to make sure that people who have the means and the ability to make contributions are stepping up and doing it. And Red was a leader and trailblazers of philanthropy to San Antonio, Bexar County.
He was almost like a father figure for a lot of people, not just us, but a lot of people in the community. And, you know, when I think about Red, I also have to think about Charlene and the fact that they both left the world a better place than when they got here.
And Charlene, Red's wife, passing away in December of 2019. But again, the people who we spoke with today talking about that lasting legacy, helping grow not only the city of San Antonio, the Alamo City, but helping grow Bexar County and helping grow the state of Texas. It really was a celebration of a life well lived. We're going to have much more coming up on the evening shows tonight on KSAT 12. Ursula, David, back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Max. 3 people in face masks attempting to steal an ATM at a Northside bank early this morning, but they needed more than that just to get away with the machine.
This happening at the Chase Bank near the HEB Plus on Blanco and Loop 1604. Sarah Costa takes us to the scene to show us the evidence those suspects left behind.
A Northside Chase Bank ATM out of order today and pretty banged up after police say 3 people attempted to pull it out of this bank drive-through early this morning. Around 4:15 a.m., police say they were called by witnesses to the Chase Bank on Loop 1604 in Blanco after 3 people in face masks try to hook up the money machine to their truck. After several attempts to rip the ATM from the concrete, the masked suspects tried to break into the money safe inside the ATM, but those efforts were unsuccessful as well. Police say the suspects took off soon after their attempts did not work, leaving this heavy gold tote chain behind and crowbar on the ground next to it.
Whoever attempted to steal this ATM left a lot of evidence behind. You can see the tire marks on the ground, pieces of their vehicle, and crime scene investigators even attempted to lift some fingerprints.
The crime scene investigator dusting the machine for prints and seen lifting whatever she found. The investigator also took pictures and measurements, but the biggest clues will come from this video surveillance camera, so police can get more information on the truck used and a better description of those 3 suspects. Sarah Acosta, KSAT12 News.
New at noon, San Antonio police releasing the picture of a teen who they say was shot and killed while in the backseat of a car. It's 18-year-old Jonathan Heredia. According to police, Heredia and his friends were meeting with an unknown person near Clubhouse Boulevard and Highway 281. Police say the unknown person demanded items from Heredia and his friends and pulled out a gun. He shot towards the group of friends, hitting Heredia, who was in the back seat of a car. He died from his injuries. If you know anything about the deadly shooting, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers at 210-224-STOP.
A murder trial for a man whose argument at a local motel 2 years ago landed him in court on murder charges today. Leopoldo Mora is accused of killing Kenneth Salazar back in 2021. According to an arrest affidavit, Mora was arrested after investigators studied surveillance footage, fingerprints, and witness accounts from the motel in the 4900 block of West Commerce. That surveillance footage showed Mora and Salazar exchanging words before then shots being fired. If found guilty, Mora is facing 5 to 99 years or even life in prison. Court reporter Eric Hernandez is covering the trial today. They're going to have more from opening statements this afternoon. It has been weeks now, but efforts to remove the toxic waste in Ohio still continuing today. Now the Ohio EPA has begun monitoring the groundwater at the scene of the train derailment. ABC's Alex Frichet explains.
This morning, shipments of contaminated waste resuming as cleanup crews ramp up plans to offload tons of water and soil from that toxic train derailment site in East Palestine, Ohio.
We have identified EPA certified facilities that will be able to accept at least some of these wastes.
Some of the 1.8 million gallons of liquid waste will go to northern Ohio, while loads of solid waste are headed about 20 miles south of the crash site. The announcement comes after officials in Michigan refused to accept shipments of contaminants, and Texas said it wouldn't take any more.
We weren't told what's going on, and we're getting bits and pieces of sketchy information.
I learned about this not from a regulatory agency, not from the company, but from a member of the press. And that's unacceptable.
The White House directing multiple agencies to continue door-to-door check-ins on families here.
We're still not using our water to cook or drink.
Residents not taking any chances, stocking up on bottled water and free home filters. Environmental advocate Aaron Brockovich telling me this community will need testing for the foreseeable future.
We're not talking about a matter of months from now. We're not talking about even a matter of years from now, but potentially decades. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely. This begins a huge water issue. We've seen it play itself out over and over and over again.
Still ahead, insane video coming into our newsroom today following last night's strong storms across the southern plains. We're going to hear from a resident who witnessed all of it firsthand.
And also coming up after the break, issues being seen at the Kennedy Space Center, why it forced the SpaceX launch to come to a stop. There was an issue at the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida this morning. It has temporarily paused the SpaceX Falcon 9 launch.
That's right. Crew members there reporting a problem with ignition fluid. And that sparked when it sparks with the oxidizer, it allows the engines to fire. So the countdown had to be stopped at around 2 in the morning. Here's what that decision to stop sounded like.
Dragon SpaceX with that call from LD. You are go to step into 5.100 launch scrub.
5.100 launch scrub. That's in work.
Okay, the next shot for launch is going to be tomorrow morning at 1:22 a.m. Eastern Time. On board, there are 2 NASA astronauts, a cosmonaut and an astronaut from the United Arab Emirates. The plan is to live on the space station for about 6 months, and during that time, they're going to be conducting experiments.
That guy just really sounded bummed out, didn't he?
Yeah, like, that didn't work.
Been sitting here a while, can't go. But they need some of this guy to fly off in, don't they?
That'd be helpful, right? It's such a buildup, all of it. That didn't work. Let's try it again. I feel bad for him. That's a lot of work to put into it. Let's look at the aquifer. It is down today, half a foot to 636.8. In your pollen count, we have 6 there. They're all low, but we've been dealing with a lot of tree pollen over the last couple of weeks. And oak is there, by the way. It's at 50. That number keeps jumping up a little bit. We're going to talk about some of those tornadoes up in Oklahoma and what the rest of our forecast looks like. We've got some more gusty winds in the forecast coming up.
It may still be February. Gosh, we're close to March, though. Some parts of the country, however, are experiencing spring-like storms, and that includes the type of storm that produces tornadoes.
Last night, there were 9 reports of tornadoes, 2 in Kansas, 7 in Oklahoma. Of those reports, 2 have been confirmed, and as you can see in the video, the damage is just extensive. One Oklahoma resident described what it was like to see Mother Nature's wrath.
A lot of real strong wind. I was standing out in the garage. My wife went to the neighbors to get in a shelter. Wood and debris started flying and hitting things, so I jumped in the back seat of a car in the garage real quick, but it didn't last very long, but thank goodness everybody's okay.
Yeah, speaking of that, no deaths have been reported from those storms, but police in Norman, Oklahoma, where the brunt of the storms hit, reporting at least 12 weather-related injuries. The storms aren't done either. They are expected to hit the Ohio and Indiana areas today.
Meantime, here at home, it couldn't be nicer.
Beautiful. Absolutely.
Yeah, the front that produced those tornadoes came through here this morning with little fanfare. I mean, we got some gusty winds out of it, but nothing like what they dealt with really across West Texas and Oklahoma. Yesterday, wind gusts in the Texas Panhandle up above 70 miles per hour. Plumes of dust coming through. And there's a look at the tornado reports. As you just heard, 12 injuries from these tornadoes. There was some damage in Norman, Oklahoma. That's where the Storm Prediction Center is located. They're the ones that issue the watches across the country. The tornado narrowly missed them, and it was right around the Oklahoma City area where they got quite a few touchdowns. The risk today now moves up towards Indiana and Ohio. There is a tornado watch box in effect there for places like Indianapolis, and they are expecting some pretty rowdy weather as this low now spins there towards Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Columbus, Cleveland, and then snow on the north side of it there in Detroit. But it's moving away from us. And as we look at the big picture here, that front trails down into South Texas. We've got dry air funneling in behind it. That's the front that moved through this morning, and now dew points have fallen off. It's going to turn into a beautiful day here. I mentioned it's a cold front, yes, but we're not cooling down much. This really is just a push of dry air and gives us some gusty winds too. There's a couple clouds out there, but not many. 76 at the airport. 78 Stinson, 77 Kelly, 76 in Randolph, and we've got a north-northwesterly wind, not too strong at the moment. There have been some gusts up around 20, maybe 25. Right now it's gusting to 17 in Kerrville, but I haven't seen a whole lot of just really strong winds here around San Antonio. It's going to be a breezy day, but not windy. And again, a lot of blue skies. So really, all in all, pretty good Monday. Just the way we like it. Humidity tracker shows dew points are in the 20s, so that is desert dry air. But you know what? It's just one day because humidity will come back tomorrow. That front has pushed cloud cover all the way down to the coast. Victoria and Beeville still seeing some clouds. Everyone else sunny to mostly sunny skies. Let me show you where the next storm is starting to gain some strength here, and that's up along the Pacific Northwest. We've got a lot of snow and rain. This is going to be another big weather maker for California, but it does move in our direction. And I keep waiting for one of these storm systems to take the right path, tap into some good moisture, and give us good rain chances. I hope each time that that's going to be the case, and that is not the case with this one, unfortunately. It does move to the right location, really, but we get some dry air that funnels in before we can really get things going. And that means our chance for thunderstorms is really pretty low. If we do get a storm to develop, and this is, I'm talking Thursday here, so this is down the line, but Thursday afternoon, if we were to get a storm to develop, it could be strong, but the window is just so small. And so really the bigger story with this is going to be dry and windy conditions that funnel in behind it. So the dew points the next couple days, dry today, but we get some humid conditions Tuesday, Wednesday before that next system comes in, and that dries us out again. So as you might imagine, dry and windy means we've got a high fire danger coming up later this week. 86 today, 86 on Tuesday, 87 on Wednesday. So warm temperatures all the way through. Thursday, 89. There's that small chance of a storm. Then it turns windy and cooler. High fire danger late Thursday into Friday. 70 for high on Friday. Good news here, the payoff, the weekend. Mid-70s and sunny both Saturday and Sunday.
Ooh, that's a good-looking weekend. Thank you.
The Brahmas start off fast and keep the stampede going in Orlando. We've got highlights of their first win this season coming up.
This Rodeo Remembers, powered by your San Antonio area Chevy dealers.
The sport of bull riding can be traced back to the haciendas in the 16th century in colonial Mexico. Ranch hands from different haciendas would put their skills to the test, and these competitions were called charreadas. By the mid-1800s, charreadas had become popular throughout the Southwest, especially in Texas. One event was a form of bullfighting called jaripeo, where a rider rode the bull until it died. Considered cruel in the States by the late 1800s, this competition was replaced with steer riding, which had become popular in Wild West shows at the time. Then, in 1935, a Mississippi rodeo replaced the more manageable steers with bulls. That's when bull riding left the gate and became the popular sport we know today.
One of the icons to lead this city laid to rest today. We've got to say goodbye to BJ Red McCombs. And as you heard at the top of the show, Red was a leader, a visionary for San Antonio. He is the reason the San Antonio Spurs are here and are celebrating 50 years. One of the speakers during the funeral service, former Spur Avery Johnson. He talked about how Red's faith and family was his anchor and mentioned a time when the Spurs got off to a slow start back in 1999 and how Red gave Avery some simple advice.
Get off to a slow start. And we lose a game, and because our culture had changed, losing was unacceptable. So we lost a game, and I'm in a bad mood, really bad mood. And I was being interviewed after the game, and they said, what does this loss feel like, Avery? I said, well, I'm from New Orleans. I say, this loss doesn't really feel like anything, but this loss tastes like bad gumbo. I said, it just tastes like bad gumbo. And the next thing you know, Red called me. And he said, Avery, what does bad gumbo taste like? He said, well, okay, if bad gumbo tastes like that, well, we don't want you to taste any more bad gumbo. Let's get this team going and get on the road. And fortunately, our team took off. We won the championship that year, and Red was there at the celebration, and he said, no more bad gumbo.
No more bad gumbo. Losing like a bad bowl of gumbo. Spurs got on a roll. As Avery mentioned, they went on and win that championship that year. Then Spurs head coach Greg Popovich, also one of the speakers at Red's funeral today. The San Antonio Brahmas turned things around yesterday on the road in Orlando against the Guardians. Both teams lost their regular season opening day game. Brahmas opening drive, quarterback Jack Cohn got them going down the field. And he's only a few yards away from the end zone, and he goes back to pass and finds his guy in the end zone. Yeah, there you go. Touchdown, San Antonio. They go for the one-point conversion. Cohen with the, first off, let's go to the other end of the field. And in the second quarter, touchdown. Again, another tight end score. And then they go for the two-point conversion. That's C.J. Vasher. That's one of Lubbock's favorite guys right there, Justin. Texas Tech Red Raider. Yeah, you seem good up for that one. And then here's Cohen again with another touchdown pass to another tight end. And then the Brahmas are able to keep it going, and a little special teams action for you right there. They block the punt, they recover it, and then that turns into another score. There's a 1-yard touchdown run. Brahmas go on to win this thing they win it 30-12, improving to 1-1 on the young season. The Brahmas will face off against the Houston Roughnecks. That game happening this Sunday in Houston. Kickoff is at 7 p.m.
The Rock very happy today.
Oh, he is, yes.
For sure. All right, coming up in our next half hour, how many Americans support President Biden's student loan forgiveness plans as the Supreme Court gets ready to hear the arguments on it today?
Plus, what UT Health San Antonio is doing to help get medical care to those living in rural areas.
New today at 5, child safety, a parent's #1 priority when traveling in a vehicle. Today at 5, find out how new technology in your child's car seat could drastically cut down the risk of them getting a head injury. We want to bring you some new details following a deadly mobile home fire that happened 2 weeks ago in southwest Bexar County. The Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office now confirming a 4-year-old who died. The name is Azaria Llamas. The fire happened on Shepherd Road near Fowler Road. Crews quickly determined that Llamas was trapped inside, but they were unable to get the child out because the fire was so intense. The cause of his death reported to be a combination of fire, smoke, inhalation, and the collapsed structure as well. 2 other people were taken to the hospital with severe burns.
Right now, the investigation continues after San Antonio Fire Department EMS crews were shot at and injured. The crews responded to a call for service early yesterday morning on Bandera Road near Evers and Callahan Roads. San Antonio police say someone drove by and fired multiple rounds in their direction. 2 of the EMS workers were hurt. Right now, it's unclear if the crews were the intended target.
The parking lot of a bar, the spot where a man lost his life to a bullet overnight. It happened just after 11 p.m. on Frio City Road near Highway 90 on the city's southwest side. Police say that the man was shot in the parking lot of a bar, and somehow he made it back inside the bar before collapsing. We're told emergency crews got there. They tried to help him. He later died. Officers were able to detain a possible suspect in another part of town.
We turn now to the latest on President Biden's ambitious student loan forgiveness plan that aims to lift millions of eligible borrowers out of student loan debt.
The Supreme Court set to hear oral arguments this week after the plan was paused due to 2 legal challenges. ABC's Faith Abube with why some are fighting forgiveness of the loan, saying it's an abuse of presidential power, while those in debt want or need this bailout.
After months in legal limbo, President Biden's sweeping student loan forgiveness plan faces a critical week at the nation's highest court. Lawyers backing 2 key legal efforts to block the plan set to argue their cases before the Supreme Court justices on Tuesday. 43 million eligible student loan borrowers anxiously waiting the court's decision.
Especially if you're low income, first generation, sometimes the debt that you'll have to take on can affect you and your family for years to come.
The Biden student loan forgiveness plan cancels $10,000 in student loans for individuals earning less than $125,000 a year and $20,000 if they were also recipients of Pell Grants. An ambitious campaign promise the president is trying to fulfill using his executive authority under the pandemic emergency.
Our student loan program is designed to give just a little more breathing room.
But separate lawsuits filed by 2 borrowers and a group of Republican-led states argue the president's plan is an illegal abuse of power and is unfair to some borrowers.
People knew what they were doing when they signed it, and they should pay it off.
But the latest Quinnipiac poll shows a majority of Americans support the student loan forgiveness plan. Roughly 1 in 6 adults carry some debt. Collectively, according to the Federal Reserve, Americans owe more than $1.6 trillion in student loans, many hoping the justices will allow Biden's plan to move forward.
It's not everything, but it would certainly help a lot and relieve a lot of that burden.
And lower courts have sided with the states, but it's unclear how the justices will rule. In the meantime, though, advocacy groups want the Biden administration to start considering backup plans in case it loses. In Washington, Faith Abube, ABC News.
UT Health San Antonio bridging the gap in healthcare with rural communities through its mobile nursing clinic. The bus has 2 exam rooms, lab testing, tools to check your vitals, and all of the supplies you'd find in your regular doctor's office. Dr. Sonia Harden is the dean of the nursing college, and she started her career in rural healthcare and knows how important it is to fill the coverage gap. Over the past year, the clinic road trips have brought care to over 300 people in Bexar County, Castroville, and Uvalde, with more outreach planned.
A lot of times you can't get in with a provider on the same day that you need one. And so being out in the community will allow that to occur.
Amerigroup Texas, a healthcare insurance company, gave $150,000 to support the clinic road trips. Dr. Harden says she hopes to have another bus someday to provide mental health services to rural counties as well.
Going to take a look outside with live cam. This is not a dreary, murky Monday. Quite the opposite.
It's beautiful. It's a great way to start the week. I was looking closely at the live cam this morning to see if there was any dust in the atmosphere. It looks like most of the concentrations were up near Waco, a little bit north of us. All the dust was from West Texas. With some really strong winds yesterday. There were gusts up to 75 miles per hour in places like Lubbock. Growing up in West Texas, I remember these days. They're not pretty. But let me show you a picture here on our KSAT Connect. That was what Lubbock looked like yesterday. Just the cloud of dust. When you get winds that strong, it actually brings...
Before she goes to Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, this is what she can look forward to. It is beautiful there most of the time, but there are days like this. That was yesterday. Winds have calmed down now. And thankfully, again, most of the dust kind of mist dust to the north. There may be a little bit in the atmosphere today, but not much. We've got mostly sunny skies and temperatures in the mid to upper 70s right now. 82 Pleasanton, that's one of the warm spots. In our forecast today, 85 at 3 o'clock, 86 is what we're shooting for this afternoon. It'll be a nice evening. Temperatures in the 70s, down into the 60s, and eventually 50s by tomorrow morning. More humidity on the way. What does that mean next couple days? And could we see some thunderstorms by Thursday? We'll look at that forecast here in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Justin. Still ahead, what the city of Lansing, Michigan is doing to help the community heal just 2 weeks after the deadly MSU campus shooting.
And what a local dentist is doing to make sure all children are able to get the dental care that they need.